All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Today is Friday, May 23rd, 2025. This is Jake. To any new listeners, I've been doing this for a few weeks now, trying to get it up off the ground. I've honestly been stalling. You know what I mean? Like, what if it becomes real kind of deal? Like a mental struggle, kind of hold myself back. Uh, and this is my cohort, Mindy.
Yep.
Uh, my inner conscious, not my inner conscious, but just somebody to bounce my ideas off of, bounce my thoughts off of, because I'm not, there's more than one opinion
Sounding
in the
bored.
world. And I
You're
think it's,
sounding bored.
you said I sound weird?
No, you're sounding bored.
Yeah, my
That's what you're
sounding
trying to
board.
say.
Yeah, yeah. My sounding board, someone to bounce the ideas off of whenever my dog stops listening, uh, which is always. So I want to thank anybody that comes to view for viewing. And with that, we're going to get started with the show.
You are also coming through your webcam for me, by the way.
You said
For
what
me.
now?
You're coming through your webcam for me. Mic wise.
I better not be. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me switch Discord. Voice and audio. Where are you at? Yep, there it is. Microphone. USB microphone. How's that?
Oh, way better. Thank you.
Okay, great. I hate when it does that shit. Oh my god. Anyways, all right. So listen, which topic you want to start off with, Mindy? You want to start off with yours, or you want to lead with one of the ones I sent you? Which you want?
It doesn't matter.
Let's go ahead and get
I
this
don't
out
have a
the way.
preference.
All right, let's
I
go
mean,
ahead.
you're gonna be sharing the post anyway. I don't know if you want to hide names or not. I don't know. It's public, so
I'm not actually gonna be sharing the post because it's I haven't uploaded Facebook. I haven't logged into my Facebook on my computer yet.
okay. All right, let me
Uh,
pull it up. Let me pull it up.
so we're just gonna talk about it.
All right.
Uh,
So the concept at this point is, what's cute and what's cringe, because that has changed since we were younger to today, right? So somebody posted a um a post that was shared by um a law enforcement like Facebook page. And it was a picture of a promposal, right? So somebody that's asking someone else to prom. And this dude showed up with a sign and two police officers that said you're under arrest if you don't say yes. Prom question mark. And it's hard to judge right off of a picture. You got a lot of people who were like, "Bro, that's not okay." In my opinion, I don't know that this was done in a cringe, like done with cringe intent. I think he meant for it to be cute, except it came across creepy. Um, People are saying that like the girl looks really uncomfortable. Dude, anybody can take a picture at the wrong time and your face looks weird. So I don't know that I can judge it based on that. There are a lot of other like contributors who say like, both of their parents are in law enforcement, so it's totally okay. I don't know. I don't know if it's acceptable or not acceptable. People compare it to public engagement proposals, right? Guys doing proposals and doing like an engagement proposal in a very public setting. So there's pressure on the female to not say no, right? The people that do it in front of like at a sporting event and they're on the jumbotron. You gonna say no to this man in front of all those people on the jumbotron? Some people would have no problem with it, but most people deal with some type of social pressure and they are vulnerable to it. So I don't know. Like thoughts?
hey, Mindy, hold up. My audio is messed up on the other screen because I did end up getting it pulled up without logging into my Facebook. Give me 1 second.
I
be mine. Testing. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. I don't know why this does that. Jesus. OBS. Okay, so yeah, I did end up getting it pulled up. And for my viewing audience, you can see the post here. And Mindy just described it to you as well. Me, so when I went and looked at the Facebook post, right, like today it is cringe. Um, Mainly because of the whole, people don't. I guess women have started to hate the whole public asking thing, right? They hate. Some women apparently hate the pressure of it. Feel like they're being pressured to say yes, um, when in fact, like I think that delves into a deeper issue, right? That delves into your relationship with the person more so than the pressure of it being public, because apparently the signs haven't been clear that you're not ready to take that step with this person if you see them proposing to you in public as cringe.
Right, because I think that if you were okay with it, I think that it would be very sweet, and I
It,
think it would be very acceptable.
exactly. Like you want, like if you're okay with it, like this, if if he read every sign right and you two are doing perfectly fine, and both of y'all have given signs that you're ready to take that next step, there hasn't, I haven't read of a single issue with that yet. With
Correct.
with the public proposal. Usually the problem comes in hand, like you're not going to feel pressured about something you want to do.
Correct.
That goes with anything. If you want to do it, you're not going to feel pressure about it. There's not going to be any pressure. Um, so there weren't no sale. There weren't comments about lack of consent because we don't really know what happened before that. All we
Okay.
get is this picture of
Correct.
the proposal, the promposal to remember Alexander student Ian Wood with the assistance of Deputy Jeremy McClellan and Alexander SRO
McClellan.
Deputy Eric Meyer asked Gia Schmidt Skimia,
So,
and she said yes.
so here's my thing with that. Do I think that she could have said no and that they would have done something? No, I think that they would have upheld. If anything, I would hope that if the kid got weird about it, like if the male got weird about it, they'd be like, "Bro, you need to back the fuck off."
I really do
She said
think
no.
this, like everybody, like of course they surprised the girl, right? But
Right.
and both the parents are in law enforcement. So her parents probably know her just as good as, her parents know her. And I'm pretty sure they
Mm,
ran this past them.
mm. So
Like,
I would
if your
say,
daughter's into a boy or not. Like, does she talk about him all the time at home?
yeah, but that doesn't that clear. Have you not been around parents that love the significant other, whether or not they read their child?
All right, yes, I have heard of that. Yes.
Okay.
Um,
And especially, let's say he's getting into law enforcement and he decided to get his buddies to help him with it. And,
buddies,
her
this is
parents,
prom. He's not getting into law enforcement at least 21. None of these guys are his buddies.
I don't know if there's like prep stuff that you can do because I have kids who are under 17, still in school, made prom posts and stuff, and they are already in line to go to academy.
Uh,
And they work directly with law enforcement
I know you can be.
already.
I know they have like a cadet program. I don't know what age that starts at, but it doesn't. I guess. Eh.
So that's what I'm saying. Like he's been doing it since he was like 15, 16.
Yeah. So
So
like context on the whole thing is missing, and I think honestly, I don't know if the girl wasn't into it. We don't know. It looks like
we
she
don't know.
is. I see her
The
smiling.
girls say she's not into it. She looks uncomfortable AF.
I think
I can't tell because I do think that she doesn't look it does look like she's not entirely into it and that she's like, okay, fine, I'm saying yes.
it could be for a
But
number of
uh,
factors though. Like they're taking this picture and it's probably going on Facebook. You don't know if this girl is just a private person like that. Like,
but again, we're gonna go back to the whole like proposal thing in public. If it's something you are 100% yes about, you are not gonna be uncomfortable at all.
well, you might be uncomfortable with photos. Like
I'm uncomfortable with photos, but at this point, if this is something that you wanted to happen, you were gonna be beaming.
Maybe, but
Think of
she probably didn't want it to go on the Genesee County Sheriff's Office page and
she
wherever the
she might
frick
not
New
even
York
have
this is.
known, but I guarantee you, like, so how many people have promposals happen or even prom photos in general? Everybody makes a big deal about it now if you're a parent, right? You take pictures of all of that shit. You expect it. So,
But not on the county page.
sure, but did she know it was going there?
I don't know.
I'm just saying
And also,
this is
this is an off the
probably
wall proposal. Like, cops, like, come on, dude. Like, most cop kids I know don't like that their parents are cops.
maybe, and that's also why this is cringe, right?
Like,
You're not helping the point. You're making it worse.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not cringe. I'm looking back and forth at it. Like,
And like
I,
this is my problem. I understand why somebody might think this is cute, right? I get it. And if I think about, I mean, I'm probably not a good example because I let a lot of stuff fly, but if this had been me and this is someone that I did want to go to prom with, I I would have been like, this is so cute. Like, thank you for coming to help, whatever, right? But if this is someone that I don't really want to go with, I'm gonna be mad.
it doesn't mention that they're dating either. Like, so there's
Exactly.
so much context and nuanceness
Yeah.
into this.
We don't know what's happening.
But,
And again, like public pressure, right? Public visibility and pressure.
but,
I
so who
mm,
all was there besides the two cops, though? Obviously, there was a
I,
photographer,
I
so there's at
imagine
least 5 people here.
I imagine it's actually family. Like I imagine it's her parents.
Okay.
And the
Well,
cops clearly don't think that they are a part of anything not kosher. They think that this is pretty cool of them to do, right? Like this is whatever. I don't know.
yeah, because who knows what rank their parents are in law enforcement in that area? Like, we don't.
We don't know
There's
anything.
so much left, but like, but people in the comments, like this one person, ill. This is the same as public engagement proposals. Many women/women will say yes because they feel pressure to it, as
Right.
it's public and they don't want to embarrass themselves or their partner. Like, again, that goes with reading your relationship. You got to read your
But if this
relationship.
but if this is some girl you have a crush on that
Yeah,
is not into
exactly.
you.
So we don't know.
Ugh.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't mention that they're already dating either. So we don't know if they're boyfriend and girlfriend or if he was just like, hey, I know her parents are cops and we see each other around the way, and I finally gathered the courage
So
to, like.
so I am going to reading into this a little bit more, like looking at this picture a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are not dating. I think this is someone who did like her, and she is now being placed in a position where she does have to say yes or feels that way.
Or feels that way. Okay.
Why do why do I think that? If they were dating and this was cute, he'd have her arm around her.
That's what I was about to say. Body language is a little off too.
He's literally got his hand on her back, and she's like, I'm not fucking touching you. I'm holding this shit. The cop is touching him more than he's touching her.
You're right. So does that make this okay? So let's ask that question. Does
Ugh.
that make this more cringe if they weren't dating beforehand? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Thought so.
yes. It's funny because I didn't actually think about that. I just assumed they were dating if he did some dumb shit like this. But yeah, if they're not dating, mm,
Yeah, if they're not
that's a very
dating, this is kind of
this
cringe.
is
Like,
and this is very clever actually because what a great way to be like, haha, I didn't really have to
but
force you.
why
The
would?
public did.
Yeah, but after the
Because
fact,
but the cops may not know that. They took this down, right? That's why he took a screenshot of this because they took it down.
they did take this down.
They took it down because it was bad.
So, like, that adds a little layer
Because
of suspicion to it.
like for me on first glance or whatever, I just assumed probably like the police agency did, like they assumed that this was something that was wanted and it was just going to be cute until it wasn't.
I mean, the internet, but they posted on like their department page, right? So you don't know what kind of backlash. Like, because the post was taken down, we can't see the backlash they might have faced on the department page for this.
Exactly. We
Like,
could go to their page. We could go to the page and see.
let me
I
see.
promise.
Hold on. Can I find Genesee County Sheriff's Office? I'll try to find that. I'll try to find that.
Um,
But you like, it's just I wouldn't, not to a woman. I can't do it because I'm not logged into Facebook. You try to look it up so I'm not on camera trying to look this up and I have something for people to.
it's being posted. Just type in Genesee County Sheriff's Office. You can't put anything on the internet and it not survive. It doesn't matter if you delete it.
Genesee County Sheriff's Office. I just.
This feels very I will take you by force to me.
You said it's been, what is it
Uh,
still on Facebook or where'd it go?
it's other people took that screenshot and tagged them in it. So, oh no. They're tagged in it. I mean, I'm sure they like meter what people can post on their page. So it's like nobody can actually like post it to their page, but they can be tagged in it. And you know, one of the I don't know, whoever this
I'll have to look it
neurodivergent
up on my
rebel
phone a
person
little later.
is,
But it's the I don't know. Like
it's
if he wasn't dating this girl, like the balls, like. And so here's one point I want to touch on. Right, people want to, because I've done a marriage proposal. Okay, I'm married. All right. Um, been married for going on 6 years, maybe 7. I kind of lose track of time. But I've been married for a while, and I remember when I got down on one knee and proposed. The Yeah.
where did you do it?
Um, Let me address Sil real quick. Yeah, the body language is a little telling. It is a little
Yes.
telling. Like he is
Yes.
closer to that cop than he.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the more we look at it, the worse it gets.
But I proposed him. I proposed in my living room,
Mm.
surrounded by my mother, my little sister, and my dad. My grandfather that was there, but he was old
Wait,
and senile at that point.
how do you what type of family engagement was it for all of those people to be there
It
when you
was
proposed?
Thanksgiving.
Ah, okay.
It was Thanksgiving. I remember it clear as day. This shit it pops up on my timeline every year on Facebook, so I can't forget it. But
Okay, okay.
actually no. Technically, I proposed in private. So here's what
What do you
happened.
mean?
I actually told her friend. I told her friend Jasmine. Before because I was living in Arizona at the time, and I was flying back home to visit family, and me and her had been in a long distance relationship for the last couple of years. So like I had actually texted her friend Jasmine and told her my intent to propose and to get a ring size so I could buy a ring ahead of time. Uh, I'm pretty sure I told her mom, and then I told my mom, my dad. I told my mom and dad, and of course they told my little sister. So when I got back home, I took her to my old bedroom in my parents' house and I proposed there. So I technically did it privately, but there's a public photo. Like there's a photo of me on Facebook that gets posted of me being down on one knee proposing to her in front of my mom. So yeah, I did it privately. I didn't actually put the proposal on there so because I was too unnerved to actually get down on one knee to do it publicly. Like what I'm trying to say is that people act like these public proposals are just one-sided as crap, as if the man's not sitting there on one knee, nervous as hell. You know what I mean?
I'm
Like
sure they are. But if you feel like you need something to sway things in your favor, you do what this kid did.
that's not what that would. So people act like that's the intent, though. You see what I'm saying? We're not doing it publicly to sway you. We're doing it publicly because we love you. Like that's what
You aren't.
I haven't
I'm
heard.
not saying it.
I've heard.
I'm not saying that that's not like that's like an exclusive thing. Like if you do it that way, that's what you're looking for. We have seen situations like plenty of people have them on video where the girl is like, "Nah, bro." It is
Yes,
very
the
clear that
woman
she
said
is
no,
not.
but we're talking about the intent of the man. Like people are so convinced not like there's so little trust in society that people are like convinced nowadays that that is a form of manipulation. We don't know the
Be-
intent of the man on his
Here,
knee.
It's true, but the fact that it can be used as
Can
manipulation is
be
the
and
problem.
is are two different things. Like,
Agreed.
it's the assumption. Like,
Look, look,
men.
look, look, look. If Brian ever asked me something that involved that type of pressure in public, I personally would never think that it was coercion. Why? Because that kid doesn't do anything in public. What are we talking about? So it would take so much courage for him to try to do something like that in private, much less public, right? You got to know the kid. And I do think that there are guys out there who try to use that type of situation.
You
But
calling
I've
your
been in a lot
boyfriend a
of,
kid is crazy.
I mean, he is 10 years younger than me.
That doesn't mean you. That's still a grown man. That's a grown
It's fine.
man. Like, I wish Casey would
I,
walk in here right now and call me a kid.
well, that's you. I would say that's an insecurity on your part. He can call me a kid and it doesn't bother me.
Yes, so pressure is a type of manipulation. But what I'm saying is that it's the assumption, because we do, there are all these creepazoids being exposed nowadays in the public that were famous for a very long time. We're literally in the middle of the Diddy trial. There's the R.
Yeah.
Kelly trial. There's Bill Cosby. There's all this stuff. You know what I mean? And like, it's, but you're taking this out on men. Normal men. Now, granted, there are normal men out there that are straight manipulators and creeps and liars. But all of it, like, it's the assumption, like, cringe is now being used for every public display of affection, which for the longest, women liked.
Okay, so this brings me into my next piece that I was going to compare it to, okay? And this is where I say we've aged out and we
Sil says
have to
she agrees with you.
adjust. Okay. Like we have to age out. Like we've evolved, right? We've been alive longer and things are changing and we do need to adjust with it, okay? And there's a bunch of different things where, so for example, when I was in Atlanta and I owned my business, at the store one day, I got like this delivery of flowers and it was anonymous. And it was like January or the beginning of February or something like that. End of January, beginning of February. Just got these random flowers. And I'm like, it doesn't say anything. And they're like, no. Mm-mm." So I left it there on my like my cash wrap, right? Like my counter where I took people out.
Mm-hmm.
And the assortment, and this is when I realized there was a difference. I think I was like indifferent neutral to it. I was curious about who it was from, but I didn't see it as a threat. And I also didn't see it as cute. I didn't see it either way, right? I was very neutral about it. I'm like, I just don't know. It is just undefined question marks. That's all it is, a blank. And I would have my older clientele come in and be like, "Oh my God, who was that from?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." They're like, "You have a secret admirer?" Right? They were so excited, right? So cute. My younger generation would come and be like, "Oh, cool, you got flowers?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't know from her." They're like, "Oh my God, you have a stalker?" That is the instant response, right? And I realized there's this huge disparity between the two.
There
I
is.
don't actually know how you're supposed to respond to that now. Actually, um,
I can't tell you because I'm a man and I've never had a secret admirer. Actually, I guess I'm just not that type of
not
guy that would get a
true.
secret.
Guys can have
They
secret
do. They do. Well,
admirers.
apparently I have had secret admirers and they've never been bold enough to speak the
See,
hell up.
this is
I don't
that's
know.
what I'm saying.
But I mean, look, but it's, don't get me wrong. Like, it's,
Well, here, let me continue.
I
Right, like
oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
3 days later, I got another one. Same situation. Does it make it better or worse? Still anonymous.
Did you ever find out who they were from?
Mm-hmm.
Was it someone
Uh,
that you I assume it was someone that you knew.
it was somebody that I knew. Um, that I had a very long-standing um situation with where they had feelings for me, but I didn't have feelings back. And they would convince themselves and everybody around them, like they would tell themselves they didn't have feelings for me and stay in compromising positions with me, which is, hanging out with me or going, grabbing something to eat or whatever it is. And they're like, "Oh no, we just boys." But then you get stuff like this.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think that does fall into the level of cringe. Like, so, I think I think the world really needs to think about the relationship, like I've been saying, the relationship of it all. Like, if we find out, if a post comes up, and we find out that the relationship between these two has been rocky, like let's say a dude that proposes on a jumbotron at a basketball game or something, right?
Okay.
Um, and his relationship with that woman has been great. Everything's going fantastic. Both the signs are there for both of them that they're ready to take it to the next step. And that man decides to get on one knee and propose for that woman, and she says yes. Then we need to take that as face value because that's probably what it is. You know what I mean? She's not pressured because there is no pressure because she was
Agreed.
also ready to take it to the next step. But that's
I
a part of
agree.
knowing the nuance. That's the problem with this internet shit. We don't always know the backstory, the nuance of it. We don't know. We don't always know all of that. We can't just go off. We can't just automatically label something as cringe.
Well, and so I think it's only cringe when you see hesitation, right? But I also think that let's say both parties would have been okay with it, right? And the guy decides I'm going to do something big and extravagant. I would hope by that point in time, you would know your partner well enough
Mm-hmm.
that you would know if that type of public thing would make her uncomfortable, whether or not she's ready to make that step,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely.
So, like, I don't like public things. I don't like being on video. I don't This is even difficult for me. Easier because I don't have a camera in front of my face. So,
Note to
but
self:
I used to be actually really uncomfortable even just talking on a microphone, including this. I would say that remote video gaming and dating has probably helped with that situation because I wear my headset all the time. It doesn't feel weird, right? So if I have to hold a microphone though, that is awkward AF for me. I can't. I like shut down. It's weird. Anyway, um, but what I'm saying is if you're in a situation and you want to do something big and extravagant, I do think that guys let some of their like logic and thinking that's strictly isolated to their brains and not being thoughtful and mindful and considerate of the other party runs away with them sometimes, which is natural. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I'm just
Sil
saying
says
that
you're doing a great job.
um you guys get wrapped up in the way that you think, but you don't do enough. Like there's not enough data to you don't think about thinking for the other person. You just think about it from your perspective. You're like, this is amazing. This is gonna be awesome. And then, you know,
I will say that more men need to take cues, right? Like me, I know my wife. She wants to be publicly loved, all the compliments. She wants the PDA, yada yada, etc., etc., etc. Like if I could go back in time and propose to her at like a Lakers finals game or something, she would have absolutely loved it. All right,
exactly. You have
that's
girls who want that.
you have those that want it, you have those that don't. You know, that want the simple things. And we as men, yes, we do need to be better at taking some cues. All right.
I'm also not saying that that is this is also tough. The, people are difficult. Like they are complicated, right? So for example, I've always been frustrated with the guys that I've been with who are either too much PDA or not enough PDA, right? And that starts to sound stupid because you're like, well, if you can't even make up your mind, how is somebody else supposed to know, right? But there is context for all of that, right? Like so for me, PDA, because I come from a very Asian household where I've never seen my parents touch. um, and I mean, clearly they did because we were created, but my mom thinks of it as a job. So like,
Mm.
it's one of those things where like, for example, I can't talk to her about that stuff because she
It,
sees it as a job.
it was out
Um,
of duty. It was literally out of duty
yes,
and not out. Ooh,
correct.
wow. Man,
Yes, and
living in
that
the
changes
Game of
the
Thrones over
whole
there.
it changes the entire context of being in a relationship for me anyway, because that's not how I work. So, like even holding hands, my parents are like, that's inappropriate, don't touch people. Right? I wanted that though. I wanted to hold hands with people. I wanted hugs. I wanted to sit in people's laps, and it got crazy for a while. But it's because I was being denied that. Now, once that was like satiated, and you're not dealing with like withdrawal deficit things. I was in a situation with a guy where at this point he was an ex and in a open/poly relationship with somebody else. He invited me out to see him for a week, which I was like non committed dating somebody else who was traveling in Europe, and I was like, this is what you want? You want it to be like open? And I know that he said yes because he was worried about not being able to say yes to a situation while he was traveling. I said, cool, whatever. I'm like, and I even ran this by him, like, hey, I'm gonna go to this guy's, like, I'm gonna go visit him for a week. Is that cool? Right? Even though I didn't have to do that, but it's me. So I go, and the moment we start, like, the moment he picks me up, like at the airport, we're going to baggage claim, basically walking from there to like where I exit to baggage claim. He has me pulled so tight next to him. And mind you, this is an ex who like forgot to break up with me. Like I found out he broke up with me by listening to him gush about the new girl.
What the
I
hell?
don't really.
Okay.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Anyway, so I get there and like he's got me pulled so tight against him, like we have to walk in sync, otherwise it won't work. And he has like his hand in my pocket, my back pocket, and I'm just like, I don't know what's happening here. Here's my thing. If we were like dating and I was really happy, that would be cute. However, in this situation, even though that's something that I've said I wanted before, this is not what I want right now because I don't know what's happening. So we get there, whatever. Then we go get gas at Costco on the way back, right? And I get out of the car. I don't know why, because I don't know why I got out of the car, but I got out of the car. Maybe he asked me to. I can't remember. And like, he like picks me up because he knows that I wanted this at some point. He picks me up and swings me in a circle at the gas station while we're pumping gas. Like, what? What's happening right now?
I
And
listen. And he's your ex at this time?
yes,
I don't I don't I can't my brain
so
I'm trying to find it. Like
so here's my thing. Do I think that the intent was positive? I really do. I really think in his head, there was this logical list of check boxes like, I'm going to do all these things that she said she wanted from people, and it's going to be good. But there's a time and place for everything. And this is the problem. Have I absolutely said that these are things that I wanted? I wish, like they do it in movies, right? Like you finally see the person that you haven't seen, and you grab them and you swing them around in a circle when you finally see them, that kind of a thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Every girl wants that. But not in this situation.
No,
And right,
not in a situationship. No, absolutely not.
it's
Like
not even a situationship. This isn't even a situationship.
you're in a car with this person and he just had his hand in your back pocket. There it was trying to be a situationship. Like,
Oh, I'm not saying things didn't happen. Neither of us were in committed things. That's not what I'm saying. I still don't call it a situationship because it's not.
I just
I'm just saying that all of that was weird. Okay, so
okay.
I will continue the cringe because I promise you, in his brain, he thought these were all good things, right? And so I didn't say anything about them, right? Like, and like he like picked me up and sat me like on the hood of the car. This is still at the gas station. He sat me on the hood of the car with like my legs straddling him while he was like holding me really, really close. And I'm like, bro, I don't really understand what's happening right now. And I'm really trying not to make it worse. Like,
Did
what?
you say
And
anything to him in the
no,
moment?
no, because I didn't want to make it worse.
Oh my
Mm-mm.
god,
And
dude.
and my brain was still trying to like process happening and like figure out what was going on. It's like, what is happening? So it
Mindy,
was it was kind of
this is this is hmm. You realize half of that problem, like half of what you're telling me is kind of your fault, right?
sure. What I am saying is like these things that he was doing were not intended on on being cringe or negative or pressuring. They were done because he thought he was doing things that I wanted,
I don't think
right?
anybody male or female intentionally does something to be cringe. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do think that people do things on purpose to pressure, which is cringe. Now, whether or
Yes,
not they
that
think
is
it's
cringe,
cringe,
but in their brain, it's not. You know, you see what I'm saying? Like in their
it's not
brain,
cringe in their brain, but it's pressure in their brain. Like they know they're manipulating, is what I'm
yes.
saying. He was not doing anything manipulative. I don't think that at all. I don't think there was ill intent there whatsoever. It was just really cringe. Like we go shopping at Costco, right? He's like, "What do you want to get to drink?" And da 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 da. And like it gets to the point where he's like, "You can't have that. You should have more water." And
Huh?
I'm like, "What the fuck is happening right now?" Yeah, I was gonna get like like the little smoothie things in a bottle. What the heck is? I forget the name of it already.
Sobe?
But no, 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 no.
Oh,
They're like they're just like the pureed fruit things.
oh, good. Because if he would have told you not to have a Sobe, you should have ran for the hills. Shout out to Sobe. I missed that drink. Anyways, go ahead.
No, so like it was just different. It was just different things, and it was very very bizarre. Like for dinner, he made like he like we bought king crabs and he brought them home and he made them, and I'm like, all right, this is a little extra. I don't need all this, but this is cool. He knows that I like crabs. He knows they don't access to blue crabs out there, and that king crab is the next best thing. This is very sweet. Cool. So I go to get a juice that I'd gotten, right? And he's like, you can only have one. I'm like, what? He's like, you can't have that many calories. You can only have one. I'm
I'm
like,
gonna
what the
ask
fuck is happening
real
right
quick,
now?
just briefly. Was this dude Asian?
No, but he has a thing for he has yellow fever in my IMO.
Was he a white guy?
He he mixed actually just like Brian. Half white, half
I'm
black.
asking for the cultural aspect of it, because who is he
Yes,
to
yes.
be telling you what you can and can't drink?
Trust me, my brain had the exact same reaction. I'm
Like you're,
sorry.
I don't, I can't. Look. All right, I can't with the. You made your point. All right, I get it. Like,
Okay.
and he
And
wasn't thinking.
we did discuss that later actually.
Okay, you did discuss it later. See,
That part, yes. We did
I gotta
discuss that
say,
later.
in the listen. All right, if I could for a moment, just give some advice to women, because like even with the Diddy trial, there's a clear, like, in the past, women have not known when to draw the line, right? They just
But
go
you
with stuff and then the regrets pop up later.
okay, we are going to talk about that.
Like, I
And
didn't,
it is that pressure that is being exploited.
I get that, and I get that, and it's been exploited, it's been manipulated, and shame on those men that have done that. Um, however, comma, you have a part to
You
play in this when you don't,
yes and
like,
no.
you went through
Yes
all
and
of
no.
that and said nothing.
So let me explain why that is my knee-jerk reflex now. Okay? So number one, things that are really uncomfortable in a social setting for me because I did not have good experiences in school with that, right? I had people that got in really close with me just to be my best friend, just to be able to turn around and make me stupid on purpose, right? Like bullying, basically. It's like Mean Girls, but worse. That happened through me to me throughout school. So I already didn't I was like I don't know how to read people. I was like being gaslit no matter what direction I went. And I just didn't understand what was real. Can I trust these people? Can I not? If I say something, does something happen? If you say something, negative things happen. If you don't say something, negative things happen, but it's easier to deal with, like they're not as bad,
If you
right?
speak up, like, the negativity eventually passes. Like, standing up for yourself
Mm.
is never a bad thing.
And that's why that's something that has to be taught, is what I'm saying. So my so let me explain let me explain a couple different things. Number one, in my household, that is not an example that is set. Right? Number one, we just simply don't touch people. Cool. So then when do you know that it's inappropriate for somebody to touch you or how it's inappropriate? Everything feels inappropriate now because everything's fucking weird. Nobody touches you, right? Like my dad would only touch us if we were going to one of his business parties like we would go to like a Christmas party for his work, right? And he'd do what the white people were doing where they like talk about their kids and they put their arm around them and you could physically see me shrink and cringe and pull away.
Mm.
Like I was doing my best to freeze, but that touch is fucking weird because you never touch me and now you're touching me and it's in front of people. I don't understand, right? And it's a very, very like visceral reaction. So then we would go to let's take a situation where I was in high school. I was in mm, ninth grade, so I was like 12 or 13. And this kid liked me. We were in the library, right? This kid liked me, and he like reaches over and tries to put his hand on mine. Boy, did I book it the fuck out of there as fast as I mean, literally took off running, grabbed my shit, and all in one movement and ran because it was just a fight or flight reaction. He still remembers we talk about it.
So it
But
all like it all comes down to like basically how you were raised, what you want. Like again, it's knowing the other half of the situation.
it is, and it's more, right? So then let's move on to the next year where a guy that we mutually knew was like his best friend, and I ended up dating him. He sexually assaulted me in the parking lot of that library
Whoa.
while I was dating him. Right. So now that confuses all the things that you're taught. Right. Every time you're taught about somebody's gonna attack you and rape you or mob, like yeah, you get mobbed and you get raped and you get dragged away. It's a stranger.
I really wish you'd have warned me about that.
Oh, my
It's
bad.
okay. Carry on. We already here now. Go ahead.
My bad. But this is the example that I give because this contributes. All these little pieces contribute into this giant pile that you don't get to see. So now I'm in a situation. I fought, by the way. This is the only time I fought because I learned that fighting makes it hurt worse. So it was the first time I was really uncomfortable, like that anything like that had happened to me. I remember fighting. I remember like saying no, physically struggling and doing whatever, and I lost. That fighting, taking a stand and losing breaks something. And now you never want to go through that ever again. So what do? You eat it. You learn that it is much, much safer for your mental and emotional safety to just block it out, la 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 la, and let it happen and get it done as fast as possible to get out, to get safe. And that's what happens. Is that has now been kind of like coded in as like a reaction, as a definition now in your brain because you've been exposed to it. You don't know how many people have been exposed to a situation like that. And unfortunately for women, we are very, very high. Like I'm talking like a 98% of women have been sexually assaulted in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately,
98%.
it is very high. I don't know a single female who has never been put in that position. Not one.
Uh, I'm gonna check that a little later, and I don't. Whew, I'm sorry that we got here, but
My bad.
I get the
But
point
yes,
that you're trying to make about it.
this is why you don't say anything because it is now coded into your fight or flight response, right? It's not that we're like actively not thinking about doing it. It's that there's a lot happening.
It
Brian's friend,
it does say
actually.
81% for the record. It may not be 98,
Okay.
but 81% is pretty damn high. That's literally above
And
average.
and that's the people that are willing to answer something,
And yeah,
right?
that's the ones
Like,
that are willing to speak about it.
yeah. I'm just saying that for my own pool it's 100%. That's why I gave it 98. Because there's got to be people out there who haven't, I would hope. But
Oh, there are definitely people out there that haven't. But so let's spin back. Let's take it back to a not so harsh point. All right. Uh, this post, was it cringe? Yes or no?
the more we look at it, the more cringe it gets.
Okay.
Could it have been done with positive intent? It could have. I just don't think it's appropriate now.
Okay.
You just can't do
Uh,
that kind of thing now.
can't or should it? Like, I really, I really try to keep the faith of humanity alive in that
I
you
think that
should be able to, if you've read the situation correctly, and if your relationship with this person is right, you should be able to positively be able to assess the situation between you two and prompose or propose publicly.
my take on that is different because We are now in a situation where really what you have to look at is, does it hurt anyone? Can you do this and there's nobody that gets hurt by it? And I say that even from like the perspective of the police department.
So
Can
who
you
gets
do
hurt
this?
by a public proposal between two parties?
Potentially the female, whoever's being asked, or I guess if it's the guy, whoever's being asked, and the law enforcement party that is participating.
How if everything, I'm talking about if everything's on the up and up, all right?
Because you mm,
We don't know. So, like that's another. So Sil asked in the
right,
comments, did he feel pressure from his peers to be part of the crowd too?
be
We don't
part of the
know.
crowd.
Both parties. Because again, when we're looking at the picture, like we don't know who's in the background.
So this would be different. So what I'm saying is, could he have done it if his parents were officers and his dad showed up and did it, or his mom was a cop and his mom showed up and did it with him? Sure, I think that would be probably more acceptable, right? You're now involved, like with the kids themselves. Um, or like let's say both of their parents are in law enforcement, like they said, right? And be it male or female, and if they showed up with him, then sure, I could see that. And I would hope they would run it by her first, but knowing
So a
if
question I would, and that's another thing, right? If clearly both those cops aren't her parents. I mean, aren't their
right,
parents.
right, correct, they're too young. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just other cops. So like, I would hope, like knowing that their parents are a part of law enforcement, they would have filled their parents in at least.
That's that still doesn't run it by the girl, and you don't want to run it by the girl because it's a surprise,
Well,
right?
no,
So
no, no,
it's
it doesn't. Uh, and like, but it still brings up another point, like, uh, when she says part of the crowd, like boys get turned down, his friends make fun of him for getting turned down. That all depends. Did his friends know he was going to do it? I would hope if she said no, that they wouldn't have even mentioned this. They'd have been like, all right, well, this didn't happen. Move on.
I don't see a situation anywhere where she would have said no, even if she didn't want to go.
It's possible. It is very possible. And yeah, I mean,
That's what I'm saying is you have to, for me anyway, when I make my choices, because I don't know that there's like a clear right or wrong, right? I think that yes, I do think that sometimes we throw things, like you were saying, way out of proportion because we assume the worst of people. Um, the problem is, can you hurt someone in the process? And that's kind of how I run my things now. Is this action that I'm doing, is there potential for it to hurt anybody? How can I adjust it so that I can remove the possibility of hurting somebody with this decision?
so we don't, yeah, but when the internet needs to stop assuming that someone will get hurt. We don't know that, is my thing. And people can see it as cringe in their perspective. Maybe they don't want it in their life. That's fine. Tis what it
Agreed.
is. The internet gets way too comfortable with
Cancel
blasting
culture?
people. Can't not yeah, cancel culture and blasting people when they don't know the whole situation.
I would agree with that. It happens in dog stuff all the time.
Like, yeah, exactly. It happens with a lot of things. And like I said, in this situation, it's just really too vague. We don't know. We don't know. So, I
I
mean,
don't.
maybe we'll hear later. Maybe we'll hear about it later, and we'll see. Uh, this is really gonna blow over. But some person going off and making a post. I hope they know these people. Cause this is the last point I'm gonna hit about this, and then I'm gonna let it go and move on to another topic. The person that posted this, that reshared this, Gabriel Kieran Ogle, I think that's how
Hmm.
you pronounce the name.
Yeah,
Hey, y'all
Gabe.
see this creepy shit? The department just deleted the post, so I took a screenshot. I wish I could say I was surprised, but of course cops will see no issue with this idea and post about it like it's cute and romantic and ignore the fact that it's abusing their position of power to put social pressure on a teenage girl to say yes to a date. You
So
don't know that's what they were doing. You actually, I'm pretty sure that's what they were. They definitely don't want this, especially when it comes to kids. The public, law enforcement, military, all of us, we're very like particular when it comes to kids. Like
I agree with that. And what you're
people
going to
get in way more trouble for less. Kids that like, come on, they ain't even the
so
proper skin color to abuse their power on. I'm just gonna go
Look,
ahead and say it.
and I'm gonna say that if you're in a rural area, that I think that that does happen to their females, though. They think they're protecting them, and they think that they're doing what's best, but it's like Trump doing what's best for America right now.
That's true. I mean, and yeah, small
They
communities,
just
yeah, they
bully
do
them
have
into
that
it,
pressure. Yeah, small.
and because that's what they think is okay, not what the kid thinks is okay, and
It's.
that's a
I
huge
didn't
issue that we
say.
run into.
I didn't say it wasn't possible. All I'm saying is we don't know.
Agreed.
That's all
Then we
I'm
can talk
saying.
about Brittany,
Now, let's talk about Brittany.
because Brittany's in
This
the same kind of situation.
is she? No, she's free as a bird right now.
That's the problem. And this is kind of where I say this is kind of that situation where it's a little bit tight. Everything's linked together. Right? So we had this whole thing about free fucking Britney.
Yep.
Cool, I get it.
Internet
I
not
get
running
it.
its own business. Yep. Go ahead.
And here and I'm not saying that her situation didn't need to change. Like it was bad. It was probably a bad thing for somebody in her family to be running her stuff because conflict of interest. Like how can I ask somebody who gets money from said pool to manage said pool? You can't, right? Like that's a problem.
I honestly just think that's how power of attorney works. It has to be someone close to you. I think. I'm not
Well,
100%
that's
sure, but they wouldn't
because
put us.
because the assumption is they would do what's best for you.
Yes,
But people are fucked up. They do what's best for them.
that's true.
I mean, obviously we see that, right?
But here's my
Again, we're gonna get
questions.
back.
Here are my questions. Was Brittany being taken care of though? Like they didn't have her living in a box, right? As far as I knew, 10 years ago she was performing in Vegas.
But that she was forced to do that. Now, there are a couple different perspectives I have on that. I think that it's fucked up that they forced her to do that, but at the same time, she was way healthier while she was doing it.
Mm, I don't know what's really like besides the things she posts on social media. All I'm saying is, ever since she got free, I've seen nothing but unhinged things posted
Well, okay, so but
about her.
it's the unhinged thing started after Justin. Like that is plain as day.
Yeah, no, that's true. Justin Timberlake, right?
Yes.
When did they break up?
No, my God, so long ago.
But what I'm saying is that like she's been she's had her mental because I don't want to be insultive to
March,
Brental. I don't want.
M-
Go ahead.
March 2002.
March 2002. Now I don't want to be insulting to Brittany. I'm not trying to insult her. All right. Every mental health issues I'm very sensitive to. I'm empathetic. People go through things, right? Um, what I'm saying is that yes, she's been going through those things since Justin. That's fine. Da 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 da. And they had her on a conservatorship. But what I'm saying is that the things that I've seen since she got off the conservatorship have been, you know what? Cringe. Since that seems to be the topic of the night, they have been cringe. Like dancing with knives on Instagram videos.
Yeah, and then being mad when the cops showed up. So here's my thing with that is people don't look at the whole picture. Like I said, we need context, right? But her context extends really far back. What I see is someone, and this again, this starts to kind of cut into who needs to have a guardian and who doesn't, right? And this is tough, and it gets even worse when you have a lot of money. It's totally different if you can't support yourself because you don't have the financial means to support yourself. And so guardianship is appointed because whoever is paying for you to take care of you is who's going to be in charge of you.
Yeah.
She is not in that situation, unfortunately, and that's what makes it awkward. Like the whole thing is strange, right? Now, Brittany is bankrupt. Like she's broke. Broke.
She ain't too
Okay?
broke. Her broke and my broke are two different brokes because she was on a
No, no,
private
no,
jet
no, no,
during her
no, no.
latest stunt.
All of this is debt.
All of it is debt. So how is she on a
Yeah.
private jet?
All of it's debt.
They just put it on her tab.
Yeah, basically because she's Brittany.
Rich people,
And
man.
they
I
know
swear
her
to God.
and they know that her family has the means to pay, so if they have to go after somebody they can. And you get publicity, right? Because it's Brittany. So I kind of stopped paying attention to her, like, just kind of seeing things in passing. But you saw it with some of her other albums. Like, you remember when she came back after everything, and everything turned into this weird tinny EDM sounding garbage that she puts out. And I love Britney. Like I am a hardcore Britney fan from before. I just can't do it now. And I feel bad for her. Like I'm not saying I just don't think that her freedom like loose reign complete freedom is great for her. I somebody who gives a shit about her needs to step in and help. But I don't even know at this point that she will accept the help, right? And it's not like she has Down syndrome. It isn't like super duper obvious that she needs help because physically she doesn't. She's physically capable of doing things.
Shoot, she doesn't look all right to me. So Sil says, so
She doesn't.
someone will pay for it, or she does something wild that will give them attention. Attention is money.
Yeah,
Attention is
like I said.
publicity. So, like
Yeah,
Mindy
yeah,
said, and I
yeah.
guess that's great. But what I'm saying is that, like, prior to the end of her conservatorship, she wasn't on social media doing these unhinged things.
Because she was allowed to.
Some people need that. I'm not saying she should have remained there under the same people that had her under guardianship. Clearly, they were using her. Obviously.
And that's the problem. Yes, that's the problem is conflict of interest with the guardianship, right? Somebody needs to help put it's like letting a child loose because that's what's happening right now. That's where she is mentally.
Yeah.
And here's my problem because what I see, I can see it. I know what she's asking for in all of these videos. She needs to fill the hole that is validation.
Oh, TMZ is feeling it all right because they can't help but sink their teeth in every time she does something.
But here's,
They're like, oh my god, like,
I mean, it's every day though. You don't need TMZ. You just need to follow her on Instagram.
yeah,
Seriously. She posts everything. They make her take it down. Like Instagram takes stuff down.
yeah, because like, what are you doing?
She's naked most of the time, number one. And again, it's terrible because this is why I never want to be a celebrity. But this was someone who was really, really young and exposed to it. She was validated. Like it's awful. The only form of validation I can see right now that she can understand and accept is public validation for how she looks and how it's literally superficial. Like, but that's literally all she knows, right? So like you keep seeing her trying to be what she
I'm
was.
gonna be
And
honest.
people
No,
mhm,
go ahead, go ahead. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
people make that comparison all the time about like, the 2000 VMAs or whatever the fuck it was where she's like in her prime, doing I'm a slave for you naked with a snake, basically, almost naked. She is in phenomenal shape and that's what she keeps trying to go back to. And that's all she knows, and she keeps getting dicked on like the relationship front because again there is a hole there that can't be filled.
So,
She has to learn to fill it herself. Go ahead.
so my thing is like she literally does not sound any different than A has been, and B any other social media model or influencer type on the internet in this day and age. What she's going through is literally common. I could throw a rock
Well,
on Instagram and find a million girls with that same exact thing. I'm looking for validation
not
and attention. Men too.
not not to the same extreme that she's dealing with.
Not with the same extreme note, because not a lot of them are dancing with knives. But you mentioned the nudity party.
No,
You mentioned
I'm
the nudity
yes.
party, right? I've seen all those posts. She ain't been
Y-
that naked.
Well, you haven't seen the stuff they took down where she was completely naked.
How completely naked? Was there something on her
Like
top?
no, like
S-
completely fucking naked.
mm,
Those are all over the internet. You can find them.
I'm not googling that. Not googling that.
But
My
what
computer's
what
been a
I'm
virgin.
saying is, well, like I said, that has been a thing, and I get it. Why? Because I've been there, right? Like you do some of the strangest things when you were trying to feel like you're worth something. And unfortunately, in the United States and maybe other places, but I know for a fact here, you don't feel like you're worth shit if you're not attractive. I can't tell you. Like thinking about it now, I'm like, why? But I know why because I've been there. I'm not there right now, right? Where there were guys, I was in a relationship. Well, was not in a relationship, but wanted to be back in a relationship. And two of the our coworkers who were also his friends, I was riding home with them We were talking about something. I have lots of insecurities. This is when I was really young, since I was in my 20s. And, I'm like, I don't. They're like, no, you're really attractive. I'm like, I don't feel attractive. They're like, your boobs are great, right? Because everybody goes to that. And I'm like, okay. And so they're like, let's get a better look. And absolutely, they convinced me without a lot to just sit there with my top off.
Jesus Christ.
I don't flash anybody. I never do any of those things, right? Like, and why is that okay? But this is exactly what's happening. Is you are desperately looking for something that makes you feel whole. Every time I watch her, I don't go, man, she's fucking crazy. Like talking shit about her, like, yes, she's crazy and it's terrible. I feel awful for her because it doesn't feel good being in that place.
I mean,
Like when you talk about empathizing, I've been there.
I get
Make
that.
it work.
I'm there myself. Listen, I look back at old pictures. Like, men have these things too, right? We look at old pictures of ourselves. We're like, damn, I was in the best shape of my life back then. Da 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 da. You know,
Yeah, but
I'm in my 30s. I'm overweight now. Like, men go
are
through
you
it too.
sending but are you sending nudes to other people to give you approval?
No,
Okay, then you're not there yet.
I'm not in that part. But there are levels to insecurities. Okay, not everybody needs to
Yes.
send nudes for validation.
Well, what I'm
Some
saying
men just need to know that they biceps still curl. Like,
is
you know what I mean?
Look, what I'm saying is, I think everybody deals with insecurities. What she's dealing with is a very, very, very severe level of it.
Yeah, I call it has-been
And
syndrome. She's famous. She's famous. She used to be in that limelight. Literally, Brittany was the 90s crush. Okay? And that validation is now gone. Now she's not known for her singing. She's known for these antics.
well, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, she's still in the limelight.
She's still in the
And
limelight, but not for good reasons.
exactly. And it's the only way she knows how to try to fill that hole. And that sucks. And she's been taken advantage of from like the guy perspective. Like, I don't know where her kids are. Part of the guardianship thing was she was not allowed to have children.
Yeah, that sucks. That
She
does
was
suck.
forced she was forced to have an IUD. Now, hold on. I get it. That rule, and this is where that line is fucked up, right? Where is it appropriate to draw a line for someone and their own free will? Because the reason they forced her to have an IUD and not have kids is because where the fuck are her kids right now? She has children. She can't take care of them.
Pretty sure they're
Why is
all
she
with the
allowed to
fathers.
procreate? Well, I don't know because they're all crazy too and having their own situations. I don't know what's happening to those children.
Yeah, but they're not that crazy. The most they're doing is like normal celebrity crazy kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like these dudes, like, and I will give this to Brittany. She was like broken by those relationships, and I'm pretty like manipulated, broken and manipulated by those situations. I'm pretty sure one of them came in with a plan to get her money. I ain't gonna say no names. I ain't
The
trying to get
last one.
sued.
The last one was
Nope,
easy.
I
The
ain't
last
said
one
that.
was
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I said it. I will say it.
But
I will say it because you could see it. You could see it the moment they started fucking dating. Like literally. And she had all these plans of having babies with him. And like you could tell in every body language, folks, in those pictures, that dude had zero interest in her. He was just there to get a paycheck.
which is nuts to
And
me
he's like,
because Brittany back then was gorgeous. Like,
no. That's not back then. This is fairly recent. This is like within the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. And
that recent.
that
I got you.
guy,
Okay,
that guy. And so she's like, oh, we're gonna have babies and whatever. And it's funny because you would see him. It was awful to watch because you would see him take pictures for photo ops, and then you'd see like normal pictures, and he did not give a fuck about her.
got you. I mean,
And
which
it it,
one
it,
was
it
the
was
one
just
where she shaved her head? That was Kevin Federline, right?
that's yeah, that was very soon after Justin though. I don't even know if they were dating yet.
Yeah, that's when the breaking. That's when like the spiral was like,
This is
even
what I'm
for a
saying.
kid.
After Justin.
But it was during the Kevin Federline relationship, though. You can't blame Justin for a breakup, can you?
Well, you can blame him for. Didn't you not see the other stuff that happened with Justin? That's why he's gotten his dose of cancel culture.
Oh yeah, that's
He got her
right. Yeah,
right where he got her pregnant, and he's like, I don't want to be a father, and he made her get an abortion and all that.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I did forget about that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, but like she's been through a lot. Like I get it. I don't.
I just don't know what the right move is to help her. Like that for me, that's my whole thing. That's why I don't complain about it.
No
If I
one
don't
does.
have if I don't have like good recommendations on how to fix it, then I'm not gonna complain.
And that's my thing.
What
People on the internet were shouting, "Free Britney, free Britney." Okay, so what is the solution after freeing Britney? Because clearly she still needs help.
she does need help, and
No
she's
one had a
always needed
backup
help.
plan.
Nope. That is my problem with the generation of, the youth now, is they don't see past the next step.
Like it goes in a theme of this whole internet cringe thing that we're talking about. Like people
But
just say things and
I legitimately don't know the answer though. Like let's say we didn't free her. That wasn't right either.
no, not necessarily. There's got to be somebody in Britney's corner, somebody, one person that genuinely cares about her. There's always one. There's got to be
Here's
somebody.
But I'm not saying that. Okay, so here's my problem. I care about Brittany even as a stranger. I care about her. I want what's best for her. And the problem is, should she have the right as an individual to say no to said help because she doesn't think that anything's wrong with her? I guarantee you, if you talk to Brittany right now, she does not think anything is wrong with her. She's living her best life. I have friends that support her in her best life right now.
This is a very strange. Like poor people should stop giving opinions on rich people. We should, cause like we don't know. Like this woman has been a star since she was a child. Okay,
Exactly.
there are many factors that led to her breakdown. Many that go back years before we knew it,
But
and
I'm
even the stuff we see, like she's
I,
she's this
I'm
millionaire.
asked.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
No,
no, no.
I want to know, like, as like a person, just as a human, do we have the right to dictate any form of constraint on someone, even if it's in their best interest, if they don't want it and
It
they're not a danger to anybody else?
it depends on the situation. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna give you some personal lapses from my life. All right, I come from um, a family of drug users, most of which who are all recovering addicts at this point. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
High five.
yeah, high five. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not gonna say no names or point at anybody directly, but I've seen to where people have basically been dragged to rehab, even though they didn't want to go. Sometimes, as long as it is done with good intentions, I believe that it is okay to force someone to get help because drug addiction lies in the mental as well as the physical. All right, it's it's classified as a disease. Drug addiction,
No,
addictions in general are classified as diseases.
you
Okay,
forget. 2.5 years on meth. I know.
I didn't forget that. I'm saying this for the
Mm,
audience.
mm.
Drug addiction is classified as a disease, a mental disease. All right, and if it weren't for these people being skull dragged to these rehab centers, some of them might be dead by now.
True.
Their lives were saved because they were forced to go.
Now, where are they now?
They're doing good. They're healthy. They're doing good for the most part. Those that used that help to actually go for it are all doing well now. They
Well,
not one
okay.
of them is like, I'm mad that you made me go to rehab. Like no one,
No, they wouldn't have.
none of them are like that because they're good. They're healthy now. They have grandkids. They're good.
Hmm.
Like don't get me wrong, Brittany's situation is a little different because it doesn't lie. It doesn't lie with drugs. Do I know? Do I know if she did drugs? I don't know, but it doesn't
I'm
lie
sure
with
that they're
drugs.
they're there.
It
Right, right,
lies
right.
with the mental breakdown, and she also has millions of dollars, had millions of dollars literally at her fingertips, which brings in the human greed part of it, which is why we as the poor folk need to stay the hell out of it. Whether you think she should still be under mental constraint or she shouldn't, we needed to stay the hell out of that situation, and TMZ needed to not be dogs about the situation and post on it for clicks.
I mean,
Because
that's
public,
literally their business.
it is their business, but there's some things like this. Just you want to talk about cringe, like public perception probably has a lot to do with her getting taken off of her conservatorship.
Really. And people still are doubling down on it.
Like TMZ, I get it. That's their business. They post on celebrities. They post on celebrity news. But like,
I mean, I don't like it.
there should be a limit. There has to be like
Nah.
a
There
public
are kind of
perception
limits.
limit.
Like, no trespassing, I guess.
There is no, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about to like the clickbait. You know what I mean? Like, because
But
you're just.
that's what everything is now. Everything is
It is,
clickbait.
and I can't even be mad at it. Like I'm talking about the subject is clickbait right now. My point being is that maybe you know what, TMZ, you're not the problem. It's the vultures that keep feeding on it. Because if they didn't feed on it, you wouldn't post about it.
You can still make a choice, but if you want to, capitalism,
Yeah,
right? Supply and demand.
I don't know. I'm off my high horse with that, but I
Like I said,
hope she gets help.
my thing with Brittany is I don't know where it's appropriate, right? Like, and I have been in drug circles where people have been forced to go to rehab. And the problem ends up being that unless you want to get clean, you won't. You'll go right back.
Yeah,
You'll be clean while you're in rehab and you go right back to it.
yeah,
Because until you fix the root of the problem, the drugs are just a symptom.
that's true.
And
That's
that
true.
goes way back to mental health, right? So until Brittany wants help, until she can, number one, she has to see that she needs help. Like, she has to see that something is wrong. Because I guarantee you right now, she is gaslit herself or just defense mechanisms herself into thinking that she is perfectly fucking fine right now. This is the best she's ever been. Until she can see reality for what it is and where she's actually at and doesn't live in a delusion, not only will she not want help, she won't be able to accept help. That help won't help her.
Yeah,
And that's the problem.
yeah, you're right. You're right, and that's the truth. I just we don't know. I don't know what the solution is to her.
Honestly, I think really it has to get, I don't know that she'll ever get there, but I think it has to be just like anything else I've seen, it has to be a crash and burn. And the problem is a lot of them don't make it through. Like, they have enough money or they have enough access to drugs that they OD instead. But really what needs to happen is a crash. She needs to end up with so little, no more debt she can borrow, no more like celebrity status she can like use as a tab.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to get to a part where she is by herself alone, nobody to video her, nobody to like try to like take fame from her, because that also gives her a form of validation because she has value if somebody wants to use her. It's fucked up to say it that way, but I've felt like that. I get it. So like, it's when she is finally stuck in a hole alone and she's faced, like, she is forced to face herself and nothing else. That is when change will happen. But until then, it's
I
just
don't
gonna
think.
struggle.
Listen, that crash, in my opinion, is gonna be an explosion if she gets to that point.
And that's what sucks, is I think it requires that, and I don't know that she'll ever, I don't know that she'll ever
If
get
it
there.
requires that, I don't think we'll see the. I don't think there's gonna be a happy ending for anyone.
Yeah,
Well, like
and that's the
it
problem.
doesn't seem like it. It doesn't. It just doesn't seem like it, and that's just my general opinion. I mean, hey, maybe I could be blowing
Yeah,
this up because
I don't know what's gonna happen either. I mean, I have to hope for her because I also know that that's just where you have to get to mentally when you're in that level of delusion.
yeah.
Like, it just, nobody else can reach you.
As someone once told me, rock bottom is when you stop digging.
Well, I feel like I was in situations where like I hit rock bottom and then the bottom fell out, and then I hit another rock bottom and that bottom fell out, and I got to the point where I was like, there is no such thing as rock bottom. There's always lower. You can always go lower. Like, I would get people who are like, well, things can't get any worse, right? I'm like, please don't say that,
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
because they always can get worse.
I took it as like, what is your rock bottom? Like, what is the lowest? Because right, everyone's rock bottom is different. You and me, we don't have the same rock bottom. Everyone's rock bottom
Sure.
can be different. So like, my rock bottom will probably be like my electricity going out, and then I'm like, all right, some shit needs to happen. We have a problem. I no longer
So,
have internet, and my electricity is off. Like, I need to do something.
so your rock bottom is pretty high, okay? Yeah, no, my rock bottoms I always thought were like literally I couldn't see how things could get worse, but life proved to me that I was simply I needed to improve my vision.
That's that's some people like me. I come from
Yeah.
like I've been in situations where my water's turned off and my I ain't got no electricity in my home. You know, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I grew up with the bare necessities, and I've grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So having
Yeah,
electricity is a part of that.
maybe that's why you are fortunate to have a higher rock bottom where
Now
you can be motivated easier than some people.
I've almost had moments where I've broken that, and I've gotten really freaking close in my adult life to like breaking that, and I'm like, all right, let's bring it back. Let's reel this thing at least back to the bare essentials are here to stay. Um, but yeah. Anyways, praying for you, Brittany. Um, yeah, I'm not reporting on that woman anymore. I'm just gonna. I mean, it's not like I'm anybody anyways, but I don't know. I found that an interesting topic. Um, last topic for the night. This show carried on a long time. Hey, thanks to y'all that stuck with us. Shout out to y'all. I hope y'all been enjoying the show. Hope y'all enjoyed this back and forth between me and Mindy. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Whether it's Brittany, whether it's what's cringe and what isn't. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. And for the listeners, for the future listeners, feel free to leave comments, send me hate email, whatever. I'm all for it.
Thank you, thank you, Sel, for the supportive commenting. I never got to say thank you since I was like in the middle of my train of thought.
Oh, you're thanking me? Oh, you're welcome.
No, Sel, for saying those things. You too.
Oh, Sill. Oh, gotcha.
Phil.
Yeah. But yeah. Let's see. Last thing. So the Trump administration has threatened Apple with 25% tariffs for bringing their products overseas.
Oh, we don't want
For
to talk about.
their products being made overseas. Uh, and I have I don't have a problem with more American jobs, right? I get that, but I also understand that we get products this at the prices that we do because they're not made in America, right? Because we need to be paid a living wage per law,
This
depending on
is
the job that we're doing.
also this also becomes there's other things at play here, right? So, are you talking specific about the Apple stuff, right? Not just in general manufacturing local
Right
versus
now,
overseas.
we're talking. Well, we can talk about manufacturing piece of it too, because I have an audio from a conversation I was having with my little brother who's in prison that I'm gonna play. But I want to hear your thoughts first. Go ahead.
Okay, so reading this thing about, I have a couple of questions. So, like, this whole thing, I think it's hilarious that Trump is saying anything while he's in Qatar with those people, with his, not a gift of a jet, but it's fine. Um, I want to understand what he's talking about with Tim Cook, where he said you're coming in with 500 billion. In the article that you sent me, it said, I have a little problem with Tim Cook, Trump said last week in Qatar. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you very good. You're coming in with 500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. He also sounds like a moron. It is what it is. And it kind of goes back to what my dad thinks. He thinks that the people that support Trump sound like him, think like him, and they're just ignorant, and that's why they support him. Maybe some of that, yeah. But I don't understand where this 500 billion comes from. Was
mm,
that like,
let me check. Uh, are you talking about $500 billion?
yes?
Because I haven't looked at the article since I sent it to you, so I'm a little iffy on all of the details. I've looked at parts of it.
So if he's saying that he gave him $500 billion as an incentive, that sounds like a government incentive anyway. And I mean, you would think that if it's a government incentive, that if it comes from the United States government, there would be rules in place. Here you get this benefit if you build here. That makes sense to me. That this just sounds like a gift where he's now mad because said person did something different than what he assumed he would do with said gift. And here's my thing. There's a couple different things, right? So like you find out from the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, something like that, said in an
Mm-hmm.
interview with Fox News on Friday morning that Trump is trying to, quote unquote, bring back precision manufacturing to the United States. I think that one of our greatest vulnerabilities are these is this external production, especially in semiconductors, and a part of Apple's components are in semiconductors, Besant said. So we would like to have Apple help us make the semiconductor supply chain more secure. And number one, you don't really want our people to be making that stuff. We don't want those problems.
So I got an answer to your question real quick before I touch on that.
Yeah.
It says Apple on Monday morning announced plans to invest more than 500 billion in the U.S. and hire 200,000 people over the next 4 years. So it's not that he was given 500 billion; it's that Apple intends to invest 500 billion dollars. Trump just wants
Okay.
all of the business, all of it, nothing to be made in India, everything to be made in the U.S.
What
That's
is
what that.
this I treated you very good thing? That's what I want to know.
I don't
Like
know.
I am curious to see what that's about. And maybe that's that whole we should talk about those tax things at some point. The tax breakdown and who benefits from what kind of situation. That's what we should talk about on some other point.
Probably,
But
yeah.
but if you looked at anything like because he says obviously it's not just Apple. They're saying that anybody that would be making this type of product would be like Samsung or I would imagine like LG or whatever, right? It's everybody, otherwise it wouldn't be fair. I don't know what this guy knows about fairness, but sure. um
But Apple is an American-based company, whereas Samsung isn't.
well,
You see what I'm
he
saying?
doesn't. Yeah, but he doesn't care,
No, I
right?
get
what
that.
i'm what I'm saying though is this goes back to the whole like they took our jobs people, right? Sure, it sucks, but these immigrants took the jobs that you nobody wants to fucking do, okay? Like if you look at Samsung's thing in Korea right now, it's insane. Like if you really look into it, Samsung has more say than the Korean government because they're the reason they're on the map. They owe them everything. And so they get
Yeah,
away with murder, quite literally. You have kids that are competing in college to get a job in one of their factories making semiconductors who are dying from exposure to the chemicals that are required to make these semiconductors. The world doesn't give a shit about that as long as we keep getting our electronics.
yeah.
And
And
he
that's
wants to
another.
bring all. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Like we don't. I'm not saying Americans don't want this job. I'm saying
I
that
don't.
they can't afford to give us this job because, for one, healthcare is definitely going to be involved. The EPA is going to be all over this if they still exist by that time. Like healthcare, the money you have to pay us, because factories, you're paying at least a minimum of 15 an hour in this day and age. You're not paying any less than that right now. Okay, like I and my little brother touched on what he thought was a solution. That I'll get to in a second. But like you, I'm iffy. Like, because again, I'm not saying these prices are gonna raise, uh, in a bad way towards us. They're gonna raise because the company still wants their bottom line profit. And having to pay us is going after having to pay Americans what they're worth is going to cut into that bottom line profit because you're not going to pay us dirt for this job here in America. You're not going to get away with that. There's a federal minimum that you have to meet and healthcare. And with all these chemicals that you just spoke about, there's some other stuff that's going to come down the line too. You see what I'm saying? Like, hello?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, we're not going to, there's just certain things we ain't going to go for. Like, in his head, I'm sure this plan sounds foolproof talking about Trump. And yeah, that's not the way the world works.
I mean, I think that it's fine to want to bring jobs back to the United States, sure. That is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by just building a factory here. There's like you said, there's so many different components that we have to look at, and they aren't, they just aren't paying attention to that. I, this is more of a bias thing on my part. Like, I would rather trust a Chinese kid in a sweatshop to build my shit or to make my shirt than the average adult. American
Honestly, that's also
because
where I'm at.
because I think they would do a better job. So unfortunately, we also have that problem, right? Not only do we pay more here, but we have a much lower standard.
We do, because I've seen what happens with food. Okay.
I've seen it with product and food.
Like, someone has a problem making me my double cheeseburger right
Yeah.
and wants to get paid more to do it. And yet y'all can't get my order right in McDonald's. I can't even get sweet and sour sauce put in the bag. And you want me to trust you making my phone? Some phones have blown up on planes. Okay, they have caught literal fire.
Hmm.
And you want me to trust some people that I can't trust to make a cheeseburger to make my phone? Come on, dog. I'm gonna be honest. I'm good for Apple keeping that part of the manufacturing. If they're gonna bring 500, if they're still gonna make manufacturing in India, go ahead and do it. And then whatever 500 billion investment that you was gonna bring over here, do that. Be very careful about what you give Americans the job to do.
I mean, that's that whole concept of even so like, he's like, let's bring back jobs to the United States. What about the jobs in the United States that are being given to computers? Right? There's a whole
Oh,
movement about that too. Because I'll tell you what, I would rather a computer do it than a person.
I would rather the person do it. At least the person, we
So,
can keep the human element to it. I don't want computers to get too involved in anything. Like, I
uh,
don't
if
want that.
if the computer can execute better with less mistakes and still check all the boxes that I need, I'm going to have the computer do it. So, for example, when we go to fast food, and I complain about this all the time, I am an app user, 100% an app user, right? Like, I want to, like, if I'm going to, like, Chick-fil-A, if I'm going to McDonald's, I'm putting shit in the app. At Chick-fil-A, I don't really have a choice anymore. They took curbside away. So, like, in some locations, they have a drive-through lane that bypasses people taking orders. You simply scan your phone if you already have a mobile order,
Mm-hmm.
and it just auto processes and pushes you through, which I think is much more efficient. I don't happen to live near any of those, but I know they exist in different places.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm still forced to go through where I have to talk to people, but thank goodness that person isn't responsible for anything besides hitting go on all the things that I've already put in myself. Now, is it possible that I still make a mistake? Absolutely. I will eat that mistake if it is my mistake. Having somebody take your order is simply it's adding another hand to the cookie jar that doesn't need to be there. It allows for another place of vulnerability for something to go wrong, is what I'm saying.
See, in my opinion, you being a little bougie. All right, the hand is. Before we had all of that, people were taking orders by food.
That's
I mean, but we're taking
cool.
orders themselves. Like,
And now we have immigrants that don't really speak English that are doing it.
those are part of the job complaints. And not in
But
and
that's
it depends where you live, because a lot of where
here's
I
my
live is
thing.
Black Americans in these fast food restaurants.
But again, I literally so I am a bad example because I literally nothing goes wrong when I place an order via the app myself. I always get my food exactly like I want it. Never any problems. The moment I have to interact with a person, everything is wrong. They never get any of it right. Even if I go in and talk to somebody at the counter, it's fucking wrong after I've confirmed it with them verbally.
Travis
It's
says
still wrong.
both, and like places like Bojangles now have the AI voice to answer the drive-through, and yes, they do, but that's the human error still in the back, because we still haven't figured out. They still don't have machines making the food yet. They'll come up
No,
with it
no, no, no,
eventually.
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is I know who to blame because if the ticket is correct, right? Because your food comes out with tickets now. You can see what you ordered and how you ordered it. So if the error is on the ticket, it was the person who took the order, not the person who made it. The person who made it isn't at fault because they made what was on the ticket.
That is fair. I give you that.
Now, if it's the other way around, then yes, you blame the person who's making the food. But what I will say about the people that don't speak English that are working in the kitchen at McDonald's, they do their shit right. It's the people who are taking the orders.
Sometimes, like I said, your experience, like, it's sometimes. It's not all. Trust me, I've had it both ways. I've had it
I know.
where my
I have.
receipt will come out and one thing that I ordered isn't on there. That's clearly the part of the cashier, right? Then
But
I've had it
yes,
where I get the food in the bag and everything is on the receipt, and it's the person
but it's
in the
not right.
kitchen.
Correct. But then you have proof. You can take it back and be like, look, this is the way that it was ordered. Please fix, right? That's easy. They have no issues with that. The problem is if it's wrong on the ticket, and so it's technically correct that you get it, but it's not what you asked for. When you take it back now, they're like, well, this is what's on the ticket. You didn't ask for it. Now it's he said, she said.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
I use AI, I don't, if I use, well, not AI, but if I use the app, I don't have
yeah,
that problem anymore.
yeah, I get that. I get that. But like that's taking good jobs, and like you said, that's taking jobs from American people, right? For
Mm-hmm.
people in general, no matter what country you live in, because they have KFC but here's my thing, right? Because I put this at the feet of America. Tell me why, like when I was overseas, I was deployed last year. KFC over there was so amazing. They never got anything wrong. They had things on the menu that we don't have here in America, and the people were always friendly. Like I gotta give some of the blame to Americans when it comes to like them coming up with these solutions because for one we show that a lot of times that we're not willing to put up with what we signed up for. Like we get jobs and we hate them 2 weeks later. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I would like to add to that actually,
Mm-hmm.
what you're talking about. So, you know how right now the biggest complaints, especially with people who do art, is that we have AI was originally supposed to be created to help us with the menial tasks that we nobody really wants to do, but any kind of trained monkey can do it, so that we have time to do things like art. But right now, what we're doing is we're using AI to create art so that we have time to do more menial things. Like that's what people have a problem with right now. But those people shouldn't be upset that AI is taking over like fast food jobs because that is what we're trying to do. We want AI to take those jobs so that you have a bigger demand for the new job it creates, which is improving those things, teaching people to code and create
Not
and
every
all of that.
I have a problem with that because not everybody's okay. So there's a comedian that I followed
You're saying
that
that not everybody is cut out to do that type of thing. People
yes,
need like a
there's a
baseball job. Yep.
comedian, Roy Wood Jones. He once said in one of his stand-ups, "Not every one of y'all is gonna succeed. Somebody has to make the whoppers." Okay.
Correct.
Now, while he was joking, it was clearly a stand-up joke, and I think a very funny one.
But
Uh,
it's true.
it's true. Not
We have to
everybody's
hope.
gonna be a. You want now? You're telling me you can't trust somebody to make to input an order correctly on a cash register, but you
Correct.
trust them to code a computer? No, that's not how that
What I
works.
but what I'm saying is if that becomes the expectation, the schooling and the upbringing then changes to reflect it. Do we
You
think that if that person had a different upbringing that they wouldn't be capable?
No, but the fact is that a lot of
Um,
people don't have the good upbringings. I'm speaking from the black
then
community perspective. Like,
sure.
fast
No, and
food
I
is
get that.
is the ceiling for some people.
Right, but what I'm saying is what happens when that isn't the ceiling? You have now raised that ceiling because it's not there
You're
anymore.
assuming they want some of us to be smart. There's a reason why there's low funded schools
I
that they
know.
haven't
I went to them.
changed since segregation. Like they don't want us to be computer programmers because and I'm saying
So
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but like you
I've
think
heard
they
it
want
too.
you think they want most of us to become computer programmers? Now, if you told me that they'll replace like if you told me the intent was to replace the people in the fast food industry for all that to be AI so people could go and then work in a factory, I'd believe you
Why wouldn't you use machines for that?
because they still don't to this day.
I
GM,
know.
Ford
I
Motors, they
know.
still don't.
But why?
I I can't answer that. That question's too big for me. Um,
I
that's
don't know either, and that doesn't make sense to me. But I was gonna say there are always things that you can do with your hands. Like people always need like hard labor. Like look at farms, right? People are looking for berry pickers and shit at this point, and nobody wants to do them because all their illegal immigrants are gone. Like we've seen literal posts about it. It's very funny. And like
What's messed
we
up
have
is the
sanitation.
farmer voted for the guy who sent him away.
Exactly. So like we have, we still have sanitation engineers, right? I have friends that also have friends that, they took that job because it pays a lot and they're done early. And yes, it's not the greatest job, but they get paid a lot and
This
they
is a
have
job.
hours that they like. Yeah. So there are always going to be that. Like I worked at a tire shop for a while. Like I worked at Discount Tire, right? Like we don't have machines that can do that yet because some of those things are not programmable yet. Well, like I don't think any tire shop uses any type of AI because cars, for whatever reason, are still human interacted with. So
I
there's
mean,
always going to
I
be
would
stuff
assume
like
there's a
that.
financial component to that.
Perhaps, yes.
Because that would be very expensive, especially like think about just the guy, like not the discount tire or the I forgot the name of this other big auto place that has stores everywhere, but
Mr.
like
Tire.
Mr. Tire or something like that. But like just the guy who was like his dream was to become an auto mechanic, and he just opened a garage up the street. He does all the thing. He does all of the hookups and everything for everybody at the church kind of deal, like that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the average blue collar American that just so happened to start his business is small, and he's really him and maybe a couple other guys are the only people that work there. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a financial component that probably goes into that answers the question on why these places aren't, and
Well, not the factories though, right? Because like you said, in factories they don't do it either.
I think there's a union. So speaking from a family that comes from automobile, like my parents, I think I spoke about this. My grandparents were a part of the boom of the auto industry. Like my grandfather, he was 13. He dropped out of school when it was legal to do so, and he went and worked for the factory to take care of his siblings and help put food on the table at the age of 13. Like he was a part of that big boom. And up north, they started the unions. He was a part of the picket lines, all that other stuff, right? I think there's a union. There might be a union piece to that, at least as far as up north is concerned, because some states, a lot of states down south are right to work. But up north, as far as the north is concerned, there's that union perspective to it too. Like you can't just put these people out of work just because you found a way to, have a computer do it for them.
That's true. So then it would be manufacturing outside of the country where other people don't care and unions don't exist. The union thing is very interesting to me because I've been a part of a couple unions and I just don't feel like they did anything for me. My mom's been a part of a couple unions and she hated paying union dues because they didn't help her either. So it's very interesting. I mean, now all the white people I know that have been in unions, they love them and they're very active with them. But I have not
I will
used.
say I've seen the benefit of them. I've seen the benefit and the faults with them, right? Because
Mm,
like
mm,
during the early 2000s, after 9/11 and whatnot, and the auto industry took its hit, a lot of plants shut down and they began moving overseas. But I think the union didn't allow them to be forgotten for some of the plants that would reopen later. You know what I mean? Because like my dad, he was laid off at one point for years actually, and when a plant reopened, he was one of the ones they brought back.
mm-hmm.
Like so, I could see that benefit. I think that was one of the benefits of a union. It's just that you can't be forgotten about in case the jobs open back up. Um,
Oh, I see. I see. Well, at least that's the hope, right?
yeah,
I understand that unions are supposed to be there to protect you, but I don't think I was ever protected by one, and my mom wasn't either. So,
I guess it all depends on your union. I've never really been a
mhm.
part of one because I grew up working in the South, and there are no unions. And then when I was out west, there were no unions either.
There apparently are some because the one of the people that I know that is very very big on his union lives in rural Georgia.
Okay, I don't know if Georgia is a right to work state or not.
Maybe.
Because if it's right to work, I don't know how he has a functioning union unless his job like allowed it one. I don't know. Um, but yeah, no, but back to the manufacturing piece of it. Like, there's so many layers to this that it's
Yes,
just
there's too many pieces. There's too many variables that he's not taking into consideration. It's not as simple as you should build here.
no. But the 25%. Oh, right. Let me play this audio of my little brother. Because we got so
Okay.
we got so Let me know if you have a problem hearing this.
Donald Trump has, and I'll say that his influence, his level of influence, is uncomparable. Is he? Am I a fan of him? Not really, but I do believe that American products, Americans should push American-made products. I do believe that. Now, once again, you got to remember they paying people in Japan or China or wherever to make the iPhone to.
Can you not hear it?
Nah, but they might be able to. Make sure they can hear it.
Audience, can y'all hear it? I don't know who's still left in the chat. Um, I'm pretty sure they can hear it.
A really, really cheap rate to make this product. Stuff that Americans is not going to work for, bro. You know, we're not going to work for pennies on the dollar. They only do that in prisons. But I got an idea. Because you got people in here working for 17 cents a day, why not make them make the products that you say you don't want made overseas? You see what I'm saying? There is a solution to all of this, but you got to dig deep within your systems that you've already, created that don't serve people and find those things.
So basically, Travis, did you catch that? Did you catch what he said? So basically, what he said was his idea is that since prisons already pay you 17 cents a day, basically, to cook.
Slave labor.
Yeah, basically, to cook, to till the fields, lawn work, all this other stuff. Like the jobs they have in prisons, they're only paying you 17 a day. His idea was bring those jobs, a job like that, to the prisons, and help get help get folks a trade. That was his solution.
I don't think that's gonna work. I get it, but I don't know that that's going to work.
Why? They teach welding. You can get a welding certification in prison.
You can.
Welding.
But that's not making semiconductors.
I mean, if they could teach a kid to do it, I'm pretty sure you could teach an adult to do it.
So, well, they aren't letting kids do it. Well, again, we're going to argue about that the kid in the sweatshop is better than the average American
All right, that's
as far as
true.
quality of work.
So we're saying the average American. We're talking about prisoners, though.
Which is that average? Or is it lower?
So here's the thing about prisoners. I will say this: some of them have an incentive. Okay, more of an incentive to get it right. Because for one, they need money to go on their commissary, even if it's not a lot. For two, they some of these work programs, they get like time off their sentence. There's incentive for them to do it right.
To make a semiconductor in those countries, you have kids who are like competing, like you would be competing for a scholarship at prestigious colleges, is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
You're not going to get that. Yeah, you're not going to get that. And it's still a dangerous job. Like, what the?
I mean,
I don't know. You have to make it at like lab level.
Gotcha.
Like
Okay.
precision. And I don't know, because the inherent risk for their safety and everybody else's safety, and the financial investment of the company who would be doing that, I think would be rough. I don't know at that point that it's worth, like they're paying these people who don't live in the United States like a above average wage. Like imagine working at a factory but you get paid salary.
That's what they're paying them over there.
Yes.
I thought the advantage was that they were paying them pennies to the dollar. So you're telling me they're actually paying them good over there?
For what this job is, yes. That's the problem.
And here I thought our wage would be the issue.
So it's not that. It's they pay, like here, if you were doing a role like that, you'd probably be getting paid closer to what a doctor or engineer gets paid. But over there, you're not. You're getting paid like what an Apple employee makes. However, you had to go through college, do well, and get your degree to be able to do it.
To make a chip. Okay, so let's not talk about the chip making piece. I want to talk about the entry level sweatshop basically piece of it. Like the entry level build a phone. Let's just say the
I don't know that there is one. The only thing that I could think of is like what Brian was talking about, and it's like actually putting the phone back together here. Like the components being made elsewhere, but the final assembly being done here. But even then, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that I trust an American over an Asian child.
I can already see the hate responses for this.
I know. I mean, I'm Asian. I'm Asian, so I get it, right? And I execute with that level of precision when I'm doing things. And like Brian, who is an engineer, right? He like even when he's doing stuff, like when I made that cheesecake, for example, and I was like putting things in and measuring and doing whatever, he's like, I'm not gonna do it as carefully as you. I'm like, I know.
To
So
intentionally do it without precision is nuts. Like for a recipe is it's just
well, it's not that like he's doing it. He's like, this is fine. This is the problem, right? It's not people going out of their way to do things poorly. It's just that they're okay with a lower standard where we're only okay with perfection. And that is the problem. And I think that that's actually kind of like inherent. Like I think that's genetically embedded in us at this point.
yeah. But what? Yeah, I'm not talking about anything that because see, if he's talking about the computer chip making piece, then that means you got to be okay with the educational. Like this, that goes into more. That now there's an education piece to it. Now you just
It's
cut
cultural.
and
Yeah, it's
you
cultural.
there's an education piece to it to where now you open up this line of people that need to get engineering degrees in order to have this job, and you just cut DEI out of schools because if for some reason your stupid voters think that just because a black kid got on over their kid it was DEI.
So, like, there's a lot of different pieces here, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so for example, we can even go into like when I was building my computer. Brian has already said, I don't think I can do what you did with your computer. And this was my first go. And he is an engineer, and he went to school to do this. Well, maybe not to do it, but like, it involves it. Like, he's very familiar with all of that stuff, right? But I demand perfection from things that I do because that is my standard. Is it perfect? Probably, it's close, right? When I was choosing my RAM and all the parameters that I wanted to make sure that I checked all my boxes, he's like, just pick whatever you want. It's going to work. And I can't tell you how many people told me that. But I'm not the one having a problem with my computer. My computer doesn't stutter. Like, this is what
You can
that
stop boasting about your racial your racial
it's not a
passes.
boast. It's not a boast though because it's a double-edged sword. Because of that, Brian is much more willing to try something and not do it well than I am.
True,
I just won't do it.
true, true, true,
Right?
true.
So it is a double-edged sword, but when you're talking about assembly and creating something and like manufacturing something, I would want somebody who just innately has that
I mean, because if you're
need for
let's talk about the
precision.
semiconductors. Because if you're hiring an American that went through college, usually they're going to do the job through perfection.
Oh, I'm gonna bring Brian up again.
Okay, never mind. No, I'm talking about their actual job that they get paid for, not building a computer. I'm pretty sure Brian does his job to
No,
perfection.
no, no. He doesn't. He does it to a passable, the best of his ability, within a certain means, right? Because that's where that personal thing comes from. He's like, when we have to build stuff for work, we just kind of grab dims whenever we need them out of this giant box that we toss them into. That's not precision, bro. Not for me.
Not for you, but that's subjective.
True. And so for him,
Like you don't know
well,
his
well,
job space. Like when I
works.
had to, I'll give it to you this way. When I had to put together the radios in these trucks for drill, right? And I'm a
Mm-hmm.
fueler. I am not an IT in the military at all. I was a fueler, but they took me because we didn't have the IT guys in the armory. Our IT guys are in our battalion headquarters an hour away, which I don't know why they didn't just drive them up there to do it when they brought a chief up there to teach me to do it. But anyways, so they brought this chief and they took me because I like computer things. I've expressed an interest in IT and they took me. He was like, I'm going to show you how to put together a radio in a truck, bare bones. So we had to go around to all these Connexes, giant trailers with no wheels, and find all these old radio houses and radios and wires and all this other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there in the heat all day learning how to install these into trucks that hadn't had them for years. And if they couldn't be installed just because like they couldn't have the radio house inside of it, then I would have to put in a work order, right? So, but the way they were just thrown in there, because the trucks are supposed to have radios in them. These are military vehicles. You're supposed to have radios in them just so you could be able to communicate during, convoys. And but the trucks didn't have any. And the way these radio cases were just thrown into these connexes, and like there's this wire that's literally no longer than 2 inches, maybe, that was just thrown on the floor of this connex that I was searching through to try to find another one of these wires because it's necessary. And like it was just strewn behind a radio house, which is it's a giant metal casing that holds the darn radio.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was in there scooping. Now, was it right? Am I saying it was right? No. But I was in there scooping out pieces and parts. Like, it all depends on, I guess where I was going with this, it all depends on, like, how they keep their things. Like, they at least know where to find the thing that they're looking for, where Brian's at. He's like, we just go here and we just go grab it. At least they know where to find the thing. I didn't know where to find any of these pieces to this radio.
It makes sense if you're, like, MacGyvering, right? Like, it's fine. I get that. Like, you do what you gotta do to get the job done. And you're in the military, so I expect that to be a pretty regular thing.
Yeah.
But he isn't in the military, right? I'm not gonna say where he's at, but the fact that they just have a bunch of dims thrown inside a box and they just grab whatever they want willy-nilly is very different than the level of precision that
it all depends. Like, because what are dims? What is that? Does it have a serial number on it? Like, what is it? What is a dim?
Dims, I'm sorry, dims are sticks of RAM. Each stick of RAM is usually called a dim.
Oh.
And if you look on your motherboard, it'll actually say like dim 1, dim 2, da da da.
Gotcha. And they just have those thrown in a box.
Yes. Yes, they just grab whatever they need all willy-nilly and stick it in the new.
But does it work when they put it together? That's my question.
It does, and that's why he has the assumption that he has, right? And perhaps if you build servers in a way where the components that you were using, you use an overabundance to the point where it doesn't have to be working at its best, and whatever you're testing will still function. Maybe that's why they can do that. I don't know. It seems kind of sketch to me, but that's me. And I think that there are a lot of jobs where, right, this is like my brother-in-law has a saying where perfection is the enemy of good. And that's kind of, I think, the mentality that I try to think of when I think of Brian and what he does at work. Is they make progress and they create innovation, but it's because it doesn't have to be perfect.
Because there's no such
right?
thing as perfect. There literally isn't.
There isn't, but you are striving for it, right? Like as close to perfect as you can get. And there is, in our opinion, some very, very high standard that is. So, in my opinion, that's why innovation happens in the United States. Because we're afraid to do, like, people aren't afraid to do things that are new that aren't perfect. Now, then the Japanese go and try to perfect them, and when I say perfect them, like, look at cars. The innovation happens here in the United States, but we don't do it efficiently, which isn't right to the Asian eye, right? Like, so what they do is they take that idea, we take what exists already, and we make it more efficient, we make it cheaper, we make it lighter, we make it cost a whole lot less. Things of that nature, and that's why and then we make it more reliable. Efficiency. And
Travis says, to be fair, older version of RAM didn't care as much about being certain types to work properly.
I think that is potentially true. I mean, but I've been given this warning for over a decade, so I don't know. Again, I think it matters more how much of the capacity is meant to be used at its prime operating kind of status. If you like overdo if you overdo, like over equip, I guess, what you need it for, then maybe it matters less, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I think is happening there.
Well,
like if you Like if you only needed a car to do 50 miles an hour or 45 miles an hour really, really well, and or like you could stick like eh, that's probably not a good. Let's say 100 miles an hour. If you needed something that does 100 miles an hour well, you couldn't put any car in there, and any of the cars that you are putting in that are like a lower standard, you would have to make sure that they're operating as well as possible. But if you just threw like a Corvette or something that is designed to do like 300 miles an hour, they would do it without any issue, whether or not it's working at its fullest capacity or most efficiency. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
That's all
see,
I'm saying.
so my thing is like this particular job. We go back to the chips. This, what did you call these things again?
Semiconductors.
Semiconductors. Yes, the semiconductors. Right. We get to the semiconductors. Like college graduates, at least as far as I'm speaking from a military perspective, as far as the military is concerned, they expect precision out of. There's a reason why you have to have a bachelor's degree to become an officer. There's a certain level of precision in being an officer, uh, of management. Like they expect that of you, and I would think a college student expects that of themselves, at least to a certain extent, to be able to get this job, that particular job done. Right? Like that's my point with this job. Like when I first brought this article up, I'm thinking they're talking about the average American. I didn't know specifically that job in particular. Like,
Yeah, they're talking about semiconductors. That's the biggest piece that they want made in the United States. And that's what everything uses.
but I mean, but they'd have to open programs, and I'm down with that. Like, if you open programs for kids to get scholarships to go do this type of thing
But what I'm saying is, do you even want this job here? Because I wouldn't.
through a college student, yes, I do.
No, 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 no. Not for the sake of the manufacturer or the customer or the consumer. These are chemicals that they're working with that are killing them.
I'm. s- That's a good point.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
it
don't want
goes
those.
back to the environmental aspect of it. Yeah,
I
there's
don't
an
want it.
environmental aspect of it. You're right.
Doesn't matter if it pays well. What's the point of all that money if you're gonna die early?
That's true. That is true. That is very true.
And that's kind of my issue with this entire thing is there's way more variables and it there's a whole cycle that it goes through. It's not as simple as bring these jobs here so people get paid more. What if they're shit jobs like coal mining,
Oh,
right?
Lord have mercy. Things I couldn't have been able to do. I have claustrophobia to an extent, and being inside of a mine that can collapse on me at one point, I'm pretty sure would broach that bridge. I'd probably make it collapse on myself by accident by like running for the frickin' into the damn support beam on my way out. Like,
And it's not even just that, right? It's just the inherent danger of being exposed.
yeah. I mean,
It's
granted, I'm
all
a
of those
cigarette
things.
smoker, so I'm not really worried about my lungs anymore. They're gonna collapse. I just don't know when. Um,
But yeah, so those are all the things that I'm saying that people aren't considering necessarily, right? I would say it's even safer being a sanitation engineer, even though it's a crappy job, but it pays fairly well. You have good hours if you like being awake during the day, and I mean, your whole day is free afterwards. And inherently, there really isn't that high of a risk. It's just kind of gross. That's it.
that's true. That's very true. I mean, there's, like I said, like he just spouts stuff. Like my little brother said, he spouts stuff and
I
like,
get it. I get it. And I do think that they should do more industrial things with people in prison. Like give them a trade to go back out to be able to do so they don't have to go back to trafficking drugs, right? And things like that or whatever else it is that they do because that is what they know and that's what's easy and they know that makes them money. It's a safe bet, minus the getting caught part.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah. But hey,
You know.
I've had, whew, man, this show went on a lot long. I did not realize that cringe topic was gonna take all of that time. You hear me? I didn't realize it.
I was like, this is gonna be a big topic. Are you sure you want to talk about it?
Shit, I was with it. I mean, hey, take up time. Shoot, give me a reason to run my mouth. I'm with it. So I appreciate you bringing that one up, and I'm gonna do some
Sure.
other things. I'm gonna find some other topics on Monday through Reddit and all these other things, because I might start what's cringe versus what's not cringe for just like future topics. Uh,
Sure. I mean, and we should get the audience to weigh in, like, because that's really what it's about. Is the public eyes? How is this seen generally?
I'm going to, when I cut the clip up, I'm gonna definitely make sure like I try to promote this one to get the most engagement possible on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. I still didn't create the Instagram and Facebook accounts. Like I don't know. I've been procrastinating. Uh, but yeah, like I definitely want to know what everybody else thinks because those the hate. I can't imagine what they posted on that police department's account.
Eh,
Like they were probably like, "What the is wrong with you?" Or I don't know.
yeah,
But
just nobody thought about that.
now, granted, if it's
Like,
that small of a county, I don't think the people in the county had a problem with it. But I'm wondering who looked for, because I've never even heard of that county in New York before. Who went and looked for that county and did like, because you know we were talking about if it was a community pressure thing, da 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 da. Like depending on the size of the
I
town that
mean,
they're
the
in.
public. The problem is the internet is your public eye now.
But who the heck is following that county's social media that's not in that county?
I get shown things all the time that are not from anywhere close to me.
I mean, we got shown this, didn't we? You got shown this, didn't you? So I guess yeah.
Yeah, and like the person that posted that is not even on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's funny. The internet is a funny place. The internet
It
is a very
is.
funny place. But as always, I thank you for coming on. I thank our viewers for coming on and listening to us rant and debate back and forth. And I'm gonna see y'all again on Monday. Mindy, are you gonna be available on Monday?
Uh, uh, maybe. Don't know yet.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. But I
All right.
appreciate y'all. I'm gonna see y'all on Monday. Y'all have a good night.